Hey everybody, so you probably saw the title of this video and went, wow, John's coming off the top rope at the trade deadline this year. But it's the truth. I really do think that this is going to be a very boring year as far as the trade deadline goes. Probably the worst trade deadline we've had in recent history. Now, before I explain why, I would just ask that you please hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Both of those things greatly help out the channel and are very much appreciated if you could just click those couple of things. So let's get into it now. Why do I think the trade deadline is going to suck this year? Well, it's because the main reason, well, there's a lot of reasons, but the main reason is that the big fish, the blockbuster deal, has already been made. Taylor Hall was really the only big name on the trade market this season, especially with New Jersey struggling. And that deal's already been done. Arizona decided to do that sooner rather than later. They weren't waiting till the trade deadline. They made it last month. And Hall's now in Arizona where they look to make a deep playoff run. Other than that, what are we looking at as a trade market? There really isn't a whole lot out there. The number one player right now being talked about as far as trade negotiations go is Chris Kreider. And no disrespect to Chris Kreider. He's a solid player. He's a perennial second-line 20-goal scorer. But he's a middle-of-the-lineup guy. And when you look at the trade market in general, the people we are talking about, Chris Kreider, J.G. Pageau, Tyler Toffoli, they're middle-of-the-lineup guys. They're second or third liners. I think, Kreider certainly is a second-line player. Pageau, I think, is best suited as a third-line center. Toffoli, can go either way. They're middle of the lineup guys. There isn't a big fish out on the trade market this year. And I don't think we're going to see that big blockbuster deal that we oftentimes get at the trade deadline. There's no Ryan McDonough going to Tampa Bay kind of deal. There's no Rick Nash going to Boston type of deal this year. I don't think it's out there. I think, we're looking at middle of the lineup players being the top guys on the trade market. And sure, I'm sure that there's going to be a good number of trades. There's always going to be trades at the trade deadline. I just don't think they're going to be high-profile trades. I think we're going to see a lot more depth moves, which we usually see. You're going to have playoff teams looking to add veteran depth guys for a playoff run. You'll see those, fourth liners you'll see those like third and fourth liners on non-playoff teams get moved to playoff teams so that they have extra bodies for the postseason, come in, maybe help out, be a good veteran presence in the locker room, help out on the fourth line. But I don't think you're going to see, a big splash move at the deadline this year. I think, like I've been saying, I think the best player to get traded at the deadline this year is going to be Chris Kreider. And again, no offense to him, but he's a middle of the lineup guy. And I think a lot of the players you're going to see are middle of the lineup guys or worse get traded. They're either middle of the lineup guys or depth guys. You don't have that much out there. So how about defensemen? No one's even talking about any defensemen getting traded. The only player really on the back end I've actively been hearing talked about is Brendan Dillon of the San Jose Sharks. Brendan Dillon's a bottom pair defenseman. How often do we get hyped up about a bottom pair defenseman getting traded? Now, listen, Dillon is a very good bottom pair defenseman. He's a big physical guy who brings a lot of stability and reliability to your bottom pair, but he's a number 5 guy. Are we really getting all excited about a number 5 defenseman getting traded? I think that just shows how bare the market is right now in the NHL. And again, I think Mike Green from the Red Wings is a viable candidate to be traded at the deadline this year. He's on an expiring contract, but he's a declining player in his mid-30s now. Certainly does not bring the offense that he used to the table. Again, probably on a playoff team, Mike Green's a bottom pair defenseman. So, when you look at it, your best players at this year's trade deadline, there's no elite scorer on the trade block. There's no top pair defenseman on the trade block, in my mind. Your best players are second line forwards and bottom pair defensemen that are going to get traded at this deadline. That's weak. That is weak compared to past trade deadlines. So overall, I think the deadline this year is going to be boring. It's not going to be as good as it normally is. It's not going to certainly be exciting as it normally is. I don't think there's going to be that big splash move out there. I think you're going to see a lot of depth players get moved. You'll see teams looking to add secondary scoring with those second and third line guys. You'll see playoff teams add fourth line depth for a postseason run. You might see a few defensemen get moved. I certainly think that there are playoff teams that will look to add a depth defenseman at the deadline to make sure that they have 7 or 8 good bodies heading into the postseason. But overall, I think this is going to be a very boring, slow trade deadline. There'll still be deals, but they'll mostly be depth moves. And there's just, quite frankly, not a lot is going to happen at the deadline this season. So yeah, I think it's going to suck compared to other trade deadlines in the past. But that's just my opinion. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.